Welcome to the Nightlife Podcast, where we discuss all things having to do with Knights of Pythias.
We're back here on the Nightlife Podcast. Tonight we're meeting with brother Joe Miczak. And Joe, for you, if you're out in the fraternalism world, you've probably heard of Joe. He's on the Facebook. He's posting on there. I love how involved in fraternalism he is. Dylan makes comments a lot about how many groups I'm in, and Joe has got me beat by at least double. And I feel honored to have him on the podcast. And Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey into Knights of Pythias.
All right. Well, I'm Joe Miczak, and I live in central New Jersey here, a little bit outside of Princeton, in a beautiful little town called East Windsor, New Jersey, exactly halfway between New York City and Philadelphia, so it makes it quite convenient. And I joined the Knights of Pythias in 2017 after I went through and became a Master Mason a little bit before that, and read up on the Knights of Pythias. They were meeting at our Masonic Hall, and found them very interesting group of people, and went out to meet some of them and got involved and went in and got initiated with one of my friends, Ed Lerman, that's currently living in Florida right now, and went and got my rank work done at our Castle Hall and have been an active knight ever since.
That's awesome. So what about when you read up on Knights of Pythias, what about it was it that interested you?
Well, there was a lot of famous people, a lot of political figures and famous people that were Knights of Pythias members. I noticed in our group a lot. We had a lot of attorneys, we had a lot of judges, we had a lot of pretty heavy hitters when it came to public servants in our Knights of Pythias, and that seems like it's been a trend or a historical, and even today, been very active with public servants. A lot of the Knights of Pythias in my area are transplants from the New York City area. So there's a lot of influential people, famous people that were in New York City. I don't know if you know Benjamin Cardoza. He was a Supreme Court justice, and we have a Benjamin Cardoza Knights of Pythias Lodge in North Jersey that's very active. So it seems like they're very in tune with their history, and there are a lot of professionals, a lot of movers and shakers when it comes to public service.
Gotcha. That is interesting, and I feel the same way. I was reading the history of our lodge, Sicilian Lodge number 39, here, and back in its heyday, it was the largest lodge in the area, and that was kind of the history of our lodge. Was a lot of politicians, a lot of judges, those types of things as public servants, and so it's the Knights of Pythias seem to have this rich history of people who are dedicated to the community and were really well educated. So Joe, how does Knights of Pythias for you stack up against the other organizations? Where does it touch your heart at versus maybe some of the other ones?
Well, I know our big charity with the Knights of Pythias here is the Deborah Heart and Lung Center, and also we have supported a lot of other charities in the area, like the Make-A-Wish Foundation, just to name a few, different soup kitchens and whatnot. And it's going back to other fraternities or other organizations. Each one has its own feeling and its own order that it goes into. And Knights of Pythias is very, very welcoming. The people are very supportive. This is going into my lodges, and a lot of the members, you see a very, very large amount of longtime members that are in the organization, and they seem to support each other. They really do take care of widows. They take care of family members when things go. It's really a tight-knit group of knights or brothers that are in our castle hall.
Gotcha. And you mentioned that your Knights of Pythias lodge was meeting with inside a Masonic lodge. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, our Knights of Pythias was meeting before in a Masonic lodge that I belonged to,
Oh,
and then they
okay.
moved to another area. But it was interesting to see how they moved around and were pretty flexible. And then one of our castle halls consolidated with another one, so we
Gotcha.
had two that were very close together. But
Yeah.
I noticed that unlike other organizations, not that many of the Knights of Pythias were actually Masons in my hall.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
That's an interesting take. In our Knights of Pythias lodge, Dylan used to be the only non Freemason, and now we have a new couple who just joined our lodge. They're taking their rank of Esquire this month, and now Dylan is no longer alone in the non Freemason world within our Knight of
I,
Pythias
I
lodge.
I don't think I was the only non-Freemason, but I was one
No,
of a
no, you
very
were.
select few.
You were, but we do mess with Dylan. We do razz Dylan a little bit about it. So, Joe, one of the things that I know is important to you with the Knights of Pythias is the membership growth type stuff. Tell us a little bit about your take on what the Knights of Pythias need to be doing for membership growth.
Well, you have to find where is your calling in your area for membership. Our Knights of Pythias group is centered around a lot of retirement communities, so we do pull quite a few retirees that have some history. I mean, that's a double-edged sword, no pun intended with the Knights, that you want to make sure that you're pulling in a diverse demographic, but they seem like they have a good amount of people coming in from the retirement communities. We just had, I think, in the last 2 months, three new members come in. They're all older than me. They're all pretty much, 50s plus, I would say, and or retired, but they're very active. They go out in the community, they have dinners, they have events, they go to ball games. So there's nothing wrong with that. So that's where our Knights of Pythias is at. Any of these organizations, you have to make yourself useful. You have to have more of a reason to exist than just to exist. So, when it comes to any organization, especially the Knights of Pythias, you have to find what is your reason for being there, and then cater to those people, and then open it up and make it easy for them to join.
Gotcha. Dylan, what's your take on that information for our lodge?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. Definitely, that's something that I think it's what you just said is some of the wisest advice is find your reason for existing as an organization. You don't want to be just a catch-all fundraiser for other groups. You have to bring something to the table yourself. And even with your support of other groups, how you go about that, which groups are you supporting? Is there a particular need in your community that isn't quite being met? Will fill in that gap. I think that's a very Pythian ideal. I did have a question regarding you talked about a lot of professionals and public servants and things like that among the membership. That's something that definitely across the board in the Knights of Pythias historically was very true. Here in the Missouri domain, I had a really good conversation in the last year or so regarding specifically that at Fraternal Lodge number 14. They had their ranks were stocked full of doctors and lawyers and mayors, things like that. And we kind of have lost that in the Missouri domain. It sounds like it's not so much of a loss on your side of things. Do you have any advice for appealing to those professionals and public servants and things like that? I would really be interested to hear your thoughts on that because I think when you have those sorts of people networking within your lodge, that brings about a certain prestige that everyone can share in. So, do you have any thoughts on that, on how to get to that point?
Well, I have thoughts on that, but it's not going to. A lot of people don't like what I have to say about it.
Hot
I
take
would say
incoming.
when it comes to public service and becoming a public servant, you don't seek out public servants. You become a public servant. And there's always a saying that, you're the average of the people that you surround yourself with. So if you want to be around public servants, you have to be a public servant. If you want to lift weights, you have to go to a gym. If you want to become a swimmer, you have to get into a pool. So I not take issue, but I caution people to not go out and seek out people to become parts of organizations if you yourself are not in the same ballpark that they are. Because all you're going to be doing is wasting their time, and people that are in certain positions do not want to be around other people that are not on the same level that they are. So when it comes to a lodge, lodges are think tanks. Lodges are places where people come to seek refuge and be around like-minded people. So the last thing you want to do is you want to have people that say, well, I want to have a political person. Well, are you that yourself? Are you able to hold a conversation? Are you looking to be a public servant? Because when you're, and as as an elected official myself, when you get to the point where everybody's asking you this or everybody's asking you that, you can only do so much. And you want to lean on other people that are going through similar things that you're going through. So when I was around people like that, it was, basically what I said. You start becoming who you are surrounding yourself with. So it's a good thing, and it's also a challenge. Don't expect to be around people that you do not emulate or are not going to be like that yourself, because it's just not going to work out in any organization or any group that you're with.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the most practical application of that I've seen in practice myself is that word of mouth has been our strongest recruiting tool historically. And that means friends and coworkers, right? So I guess dipping toes into, like, if you have a lodge where absolutely everyone is blue collar working at the three local factories or whatever, yeah, that's going to be probably your primary draw. So I guess taking your advice, the best shot you'd have is either start a new career path, which probably isn't a wise decision just to get more members into your local lodge, or try to expand your Venn diagram and maybe improve yourself in the process and then get that wider demographic. But I definitely agree what you're saying is demonstrably true. That makes sense.
Yeah. I really like that insight, Joe. I have never heard someone say it, but it makes sense, right? And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said it here so we can internalize it, and that other Knights of Pythias out there watching this, they can internalize it and realize that, maybe if they want individuals like that, they need, like you said, to become individuals like that. They're looking for those hard hitters. They need to become hard hitters themselves. So I really do appreciate that information. Dylan, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You were going to ask, I think, another question.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
So I did have a slightly unrelated question to my last one. Can you tell me what was your initiatory experience like? And of course, you don't have to give away any secrets, but like, did you have a 3-in-1? Was it a relaxed atmosphere? Was it all serious? Were there a lot of people? What was it like?
It was several years ago, and it was a full room, and it was an experience that I would have to say I will never forget. It was very, very well done, without giving away too much, because there's going to be people that aren't Knights of Pythias here. But I was, surprised. I was tricked. I was made to reflect on to make sure I was listening correctly, and somebody almost died. So it was one of those great, great experiences that and it really, really impressed me.
Dave, I think we're going to have to edit that out just a little bit. Or lower the volume or something. I don't know. Okay, how about this? How about this? We'll edit up to this point. Yes or no, were you brave?
Oh, I was definitely not brave.
Me
I
too.
was not brave. I said, I did not know these people that long to risk that.
Hmm.
It truly. I told Dylan. I said I've been through a lot of rituals in my life, and I said by far it's one of the best rituals I've been through. Cecilian did a great job for myself, and I just loved it. And truly, what I've told Dylan is, I said it really does make your bond with them much stronger. Makes your brotherhood with them much stronger than it could have been. The
Hmm.
ritual does play a huge important part in the camaraderie of a Knight of Pythias Lodge.
Yeah.
So it really does. Um,
And it's so interactive. It's
oh
not just
yeah,
something that's happening around you or in front of you.
yep.
You're in it.
It's oh yeah, yeah, front and center. So Joe, another thing I wanted that me and Dylan talk a lot about on this podcast is we talk a lot about the esoterics of Knight of Pythias. You know, we talk a lot about what are the rituals teaching us, what are the morals, what are the values that we get that we use in our everyday lives from being a Knight of Pythias. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of that the core development of the values that you have from the Knight of Pythias?
Well, I think the number one thing you can do, and you can find it on YouTube or maybe rent it or whatever it is watch the story, the movie Damon and Pythias.
Yeah.
Damon and Pythias is a phenomenal story. I mean, early on in the story, you have the slave that's talking up to the master, and he says, "My friend," and the guy knocks him down, and he says, "Well, why do you knock him down?" He says, "He dared call me his friend." So you can see these stories of how nice you are to some people. Some people are not worthy of you calling them a friend or a brother.
Yeah.
The caution, the trust, the not trusting somebody when they're not there. Those are all very, very, very strong stories, and that translate into today's life that we don't see people. I mean, a lot of people I don't see all year. We might meet up once or twice a year or whatnot, but we have that trust and bond when we're not there with each other, and we know that when we come back, they're going to come back for me, and I'm not going to leave them behind. The story is something that you think about it. That one story of Damon Pythias, we had a whole order that survived for over 150 years. That is just based on that one story, and it's really telling, and it's strong. It really is
Yeah.
strong. So I would suggest read up on it, live it a little bit, and start applying things in your daily life. I mean, these are all things that we're learning. If you learn to be a mechanic but you never turn a wrench, or you learn to build houses but you never pick up a saw, it's pretty much useless. So you have the opportunity, you have the tools, but if you don't put them to work, they're absolutely useless. So people join organizations, they say, "Ah, this is great." You know what? Put it to use. Become better. Become the best thing that you can. I mean, look at the people that were part of these organizations. We've had presidents and senators and heads of state and everything else. They had the same opportunity that you did. So there's nothing holding you back.
100%. Joe, that was awesome words. I'm really taking a lot of this to heart in this interview, and the reason being is because part of being a Knight of Pythias, me and Dylan have talked about this, but part of being a Knight of Pythias is realizing that all of this was started by just two men, a story about two men, and a lot of people nowadays kind of have this thought that you need 30 or 40 in a lodge room to have the camaraderie to make it work. And I'm like, guys, when we go to lodge, we might have 8 or 9 guys sometimes, or maybe 12 tops, and that's plenty enough guys to have a great time, to have camaraderie, to have a true brotherhood with. And that's something that at Sicilian that we really implement is the Pythian education. For good of the order, we have Dylan would read Pythian education, and that's one of the reasons why on this podcast Dylan does the readings of the Golden Shield of Pythian Knighthood, is so that some of these younger Pythians or older Pythians who are watching this podcast, they can take that information. They don't even have to read it for good or the order. They could always just play it right here. They could go on YouTube, put their phone on a speaker in lodge, push play, and have a little bit of Pythian education to get people thinking about why are they a Knight of Pythias? What does it mean? How can they implement it in their life? All the same things that you're saying, Joe. So I that's the kind of stuff that I love, and the reason why Knight of Pythias for me is such a big deal is because I think the values that it teaches at the core, it's so relevant in our day and age. It's so relevant. So thank you. Dylan, I know that you're probably thinking the exact same thing I am, and that is Joe, are you a member of the Dokies?
The Dokies are not active here. I plan on becoming a member if I get a chance to go out with Charlie in Texas. He has offered to do that. So that would be something that I would enjoy getting into over there when I think next year we'll be having our Amos convention in Texas, so I'll be able to do it then.
Oh my gosh. Well, hopefully by then I will be in Amos, and I want to come to your Doki initiation. We have a Doki temple here. It's Abba Temple, and we have a lot of fun. It's very small, and we're just trying to get it revived right now. We've only had a few meetings, but so far in the meetings we've had a lot of fun. We've came up with a new way for an official way to say yes to a vote and things like that. So we have a lot of fun with it, and we really do love it. Some of my best friends, right, are my brothers in the Knights of Pythias and the sisters in the Knights of Pythias. So I really do have a lot of fun. And so, Joe, I really hope you do get to do that, especially with someone like Charlie. That would just be.
Oh, Charlie's just a blast. He is.
Yeah,
We've gone on cruises together. We've been all over the place. He is. When they made him, they broke the mold.
Yeah, he truly is a great brother to have. So, Joe, just to kind of get a feeling of your Knight of Pythias experience, when you're at a lodge meeting, what do your lodge meetings usually consist of?
Well, they consist of coalition. We have some coffee, some donuts. We set up the lodge room. We're in a very nice public center that we are in the next town over from here, and it has nice chairs. It's very well set up, and we usually adjust the room to how big the meeting is going to be. So if we have enough people, it'll be a formal meeting, and we do the opening with all the officers. So. Gotcha. Collars and swords.
Love that. That our lodge, we have the breast jewels or the pocket jewels, whatever you want to call them, and sometimes those are placed on little lanyards for some individuals. And we've just kind of started flirting with buying the collars from Fratline Emblematics.
Okay.
And
not a sponsor.
What'd you say, Dylan?
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. You know what? I'm going to contact and be like, I'm going to cut this part out if you guys don't,
Pay up.
No. Yeah. No. So I know, and we really like that. I had an older gentleman. He doesn't really use the internet, and he saw the collar. He goes, "Dave, do they have a past chancellor collar?" And I go, "They do." He goes, "If I wrote you a check, would you order me one?" And I did. I have it sitting here in my living room we have a meeting coming up in a week or two. But that made me feel good because I was able to do something for my brother that he wasn't able to do for himself. And it meant something to him. It was something special to him to have a little piece of something he had done. I mean, he's probably in his 70s, I'm guessing, and he's been a Knight of Pythias since 19 years old. And so for me, it felt really special to be able to give him a little bit of Knight of Pythias regalia, something for him to hold on to and be able to take with him, even if it's to the grave, that he was a Knight of Pythias, and not only that, but he was a past Chancellor Commander. And so that was something special that I was able to do recently for a brother. Joe, do you feel like that your bond with your Knight of Pythias brothers are like that? You guys have that camaraderie with one another. You have that deep friendship that Damon and Pythias resembled.
Yes, and it's unique because the people are generally older, but it's nice to have a connection between people that are not your age and outside of, some people aren't comfortable with dealing with the older people or getting to be friends with them in that aspect of it. But it's nice to see people of different walks of life and different professions and different ages and be able to, as younger people, we're all younger, they are to be able to get that wealth and that knowledge from those.
Yep.
It's really invaluable in growing who you are. So it shouldn't be looked as a negative. It's definitely a positive and something that's should be cherished.
100%. Dylan, do you have any questions or thing before we wrap up here?
Well, I really do feel like we could go forever and not run out of stuff to talk about. I think you've been a great guest. We haven't had a bad guest yet, but certainly you've imparted a lot to think about and contemplate.
Yes.
And while we've been talking, I've been thinking, how could we adapt some of this stuff in our local situation? If everybody out there has that same attitude, I think we're all be in a better place for having had this conversation. So huge thank you for coming on and sharing what you have to
Thank
say
you.
with us.
Thank you for having me on here. And a Pythian
Yeah.
told me this one time when it came to what you're doing in your life. He said, how big would you dream if failure was not possible? And that is where you have to really look at things and don't minimize things. If you want to go out there and do something, you want to start a new lodge, you want to start a new career, you want to worry about standing still. Don't worry about moving forward. Don't worry about, what you're going to do. Worry about what you're not going to do. The danger is being complacent. The danger is not moving ahead. The danger is not taking risk. And you have a support group like the Knights of Pythias behind you. You have brothers there to support you, and you're going to support them as well. It's not a one-way street. The sky is the limit. You can do whatever you set your mind to.
Perfect. Thank you so
Wise
much
words.
for those words of wisdom. Yeah, that's so wise. And just to add a little bit to that, I just want to put it out there for everyone that if you're a Knight of Pythias out there and you feel like that you aren't getting what you need from your lodge, you're wanting more, just to have a conversation about Knights of Pythias, things like that, you can always reach out to Dylan or I. I know you can reach out to Joe. You can reach out to Charlie Stevenson. All of those types of guys. Those guys are more than happy to answer questions, to help you, to give you the help, the boost that you need in spirit for you to keep going within the Knights of Pythias, so that you can really see and understand the big picture here. And just like what Joe said, he can say it way better than I can, but basically I just wanted to hit on the point of, don't think that just because your lodge is down to the last 5 or something like that it's completely over. You can still be a Knight of Pythias, and still live those values and live those tenets. And if you need someone to talk to just about, wanting to have that little bit of camaraderie, reach out to somebody. Don't think that you're alone. Reach out to somebody. So, Joe, thank you so much for your time this evening, and same to Dylan. This has been a wonderful episode. I hope everyone has listened to Joe. Seriously, I hope that everyone here has listened to Joe and really felt inspired about his wisdom that he's given to us this evening. And thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Really appreciate you having me on, and it's a pleasure, and I hope to do things in the future with you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll see you guys.
See ya.